Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means the world to me. Thank you very, very much indeed. Today, we welcome along a very, very, very special guest. We have a bit of a viral sensation through these doors today. And of course, that is the great Evangeline Victoria. Let's now take a moment to introduce her in case you haven't seen some of her viral videos going around the internet at the moment. Evangeline, or Evie, more commonly known, is an award-winning violinist and entertainer with over 21 years of experience in this business. She graduated from the Melbourne Conservatorium of Music and has built a career not only performing popular songs at weddings and football stadiums, but also pieces of classical repertoire as well. Her talents have been heard in Australia and across Europe, including for music theatre and opera productions around Victoria, as well as with the Orchestra Victoria, the National Institute of Circus Arts, and Cirque du Soleil. She shared the stage with the likes of Damien Leith, Conrad Sewell, Kygo and Tiesto. Hopefully I said those names right. And a lot of you will know from her. A lot of you will know her from her viral videos from the A-League Melbourne Victory Team and the AFL's Carlton Football Club, performances of Freed from Desire and the Seven Nation Army, also on YouTube. Go check them out. She recently finished a European tour performing at weddings and other venues. If you missed her this year, don't despair. She'll be back on the road in 2025. For more information, check out her Instagram page and her website. Links to both of them are down below in the description. So, without further ado, Evie, hello.
Hi. Wow, that was a great introduction. Thanks so much, Oliver.
No worries. Hey, it's all you. That's all your work. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, you've done so much, man. It's incredible.
I know it's kind of crazy when you put it all in like one paragraph of things I've achieved. I'm very grateful that I've had such wonderful opportunities to be able to do what I love in so many different settings. It's pretty
Mm.
cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, we're going to talk more about that in just a moment. But before we get to the starter question today, if any of you guys, like I say, go check out her website. And not only is it beautifully prepared, but you can get access to her venue information, contact details, tours. It's all there. So, the first question for today is, what scares you about thunderstorms?
Um, oh, they're just unpredictable. Like I don't know, they're just loud and I don't know, you hear some scary stories about how they strike and I just don't like them. I like my skies clear, not rainy.
Yeah, oh, that's good. I mean, I don't know. Do you get many in Australia?
Yeah, in summer we do.
Yeah.
Especially up north in like Queensland, it does get very stormy, but yeah, they happen like far in between in Melbourne, but when they happen, they happen.
Mm.
When it rains, it pours, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So, whenever a thunderstorm comes around, we'll just leave you to it. But we'll start with the starter question today for every guest. So, in your case, Evie, where did it come from, the love of music and playing the violin? Where did it all start for you?
So my family's quite musical. My dad's a teacher in instrumental music for woodwind, most specifically. So he teaches young students flute, clarinet, saxophone, bassoon, and then he also grew up playing piano as well.
Hmm.
So I think that's where the seed was planted. In terms of choosing the violin, I don't know exactly at what point I chose the violin. Like, I don't remember any particular moment being like, that's why I want to play the violin. It was just sort of something that I chose in primary school when we were given the opportunity to choose an instrument that wasn't the recorder. I went,
No,
I went
Jesus.
with violin. Yeah, they're terrible, aren't they?
Oh my God, the worst things known
Anything
to
but
man.
that instrument.
Yeah, they're down there with the bagpipes.
Oh yeah, yeah. But no, I that's sort of like where it started and I became quite emotionally attached to the instrument from quite a young age. So despite the few times that I was like really struggling with it, like everyone goes through, you know, peaks and troughs with any discipline, any sort of skill. I particularly struggled through teenage years because it is like when I was a teenager, it was very uncool to play the violin. I feel like the violin's been revolutionized a little bit now, but
Yeah, sure.
yeah, there was a few years during that time where I really struggled to continue with it, but my dad nurtured me through that as the amazing teacher that he is, and I was also too emotionally attached to it to give it up. Um, and then at some point I decided that I wanted to pursue it as a career. So like went full circle from wanting to quit it as a 15-year-old to now a 28-year-old pursuing it as a full-time career.
Yeah,
Here we are.
exactly. Yeah, it's just that's a good lead on to one thing I thought about this morning, which was, when you learn an instrument, I've tried to learn the instruments before. I tried learning the guitar, but I don't know, it just didn't speak to me. I don't know what happened. But in your case, the violin really, really speaks to you, and you've built a career over 21 years. But like you just said there, like when you wanted to quit when you were 15, how do you get through those initial phases of where you're trying to play this thing, but it doesn't seem to be talking to you? How did you get the violin to communicate with you?
I don't know. I think at the time it was more so just feeling really overwhelmed with continuing the instrument as I, got older. I was progressing through the grades for AMAB, which is like the grading system for music here in Australia.
Hmm.
And I think I just felt I wasn't getting anywhere. I was kind of going around and around in circles. And then Dad kind of helped me break it down into bite-sized pieces that were a little bit easier for my immature mind to handle.
Hmm.
Um, because, I still like obviously a 15-year-old, like, you know, I wanted things to happen yesterday. I wanted to have the skill without having to put in the work. I didn't understand the concept of discipline the way I understand it now and practice and that sort of thing. So he really broke it down to be a lot more manageable for a 15-year-old mind.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think the fact that I was too scared to give it up as well, like I didn't want to let go because I'd been playing it for at that point I'd been playing it for 8 years. I didn't want
Wow.
to let go of something that was so incredibly part of myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I just like pushed through it. But I do remember having a conversation with my dad saying like, you're not going to like this, but I don't think I want to play this anymore. And Dad very graciously was like, okay, let's look at it this way. Like instead of like being like, okay, you know what, that's fine. You can quit it. Instead, he sort of encouraged me to look at it a different way and approach things in a way where I felt like I was getting that gratification from my practice. But I do remember also getting very frustrated once and like angrily like hitting my bow against the floor and seeing it explode. And I was like, oh
Oh.
God, I can't do that again. Like my parents were not happy about that. But you were like, these things are just part of like the journey that got me to where I am now. So, we all have our moments and I was a pretty feisty 15-year-old. So
Yeah, it's like when you learn the drums, I think, you hear people about trying to learn the drums, they just break their sticks in half and stuff, and you got that bow and you see all the horsehair just go all over the place.
everywhere. And Mum and Dad kept it so they could see the damage I did. And I was like,
But is it
no,
framed at home? Is it like on the wall or something?
not framed. I think they've gotten rid of it now, but like it sat there and stared at me through every single practice session for at least 5 years, at least until I finished high school.
Yeah.
Um,
Was that
but
helpful in
yeah,
any way?
I don't know. I just remember looking at it feeling pretty stupid.
Okay.
Like, where did that get me?
Little reminders. But
Yeah.
was there anyone like who you really sort of looked up to? Because like you look at the famous violinists. I mean, I could only really name one, like Ishtat Perlman or something like. Did you ever look up to him, or was there any other person who played the violin which you really aspired to be like?
Um, Not particularly any famous violinist. I don't spend a lot of time. I still don't spend a lot of time looking at like what other violinists do because I think it's very easy to fall into the trap of copying another musician.
Sure.
I can certainly appreciate what other musicians did, but in terms of like idolizing or gaining inspiration from like a famous violinist, um, I never really fell for that. The people that inspired me most were actually my teachers,
Mm,
and the people that I to work with closely. So I was lucky to have a string of incredible teachers through all of my years of learning the violin. So I started with a teacher who I had her for like the first 2 years of playing the violin, and she really just got me started with good technique. And then my next teacher after that really focused on helping me find my character and my personality within the instrument. Not just looking at technique, but also looking at like finding music that suited me and my personality and my style of playing. And I really loved like the dramatic pieces, especially like tangos and anything like Spanish. I always was very gravitated, or like Russian, I was very gravitated towards.
mm,
Um, and then my teacher after that kind of put two things together where she focused on the technique and the personality, putting that together to become a better performer.
Yeah.
Um, and then I had a mentor all through this from Orchestra Victoria. His name's John Noble. He is like an uncle to me. He's become very close to like to me and my family. And he nurtured me through like high school and finding like my career and even university as well. University I found particularly challenging because I went to a classical music school, but my personality is not suited to a classical music school, and I was a very loud, annoying student for people there. Um, and the teachers I was paired with just, or the one of the teachers I was paired with, we just did not align. Like we were
Mm.
like chalk and cheese. And
Yeah.
one day we fired each other. Like we both just were like, I said to him, I'm not your student anymore. I can't be your student anymore. Like I can't, I just am not getting anywhere with you. And he acknowledged the same as like, I'm not getting anywhere with you. And we kind of acknowledged that we weren't the right fit. And that's when I had another teacher I was allocated to through the uni, but John was like ultimately the one that helped me through some of the biggest challenges with like becoming a professional.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, they like John especially is probably one of the biggest people that I admire and have looked up to through my career and like as even as a young student. But all of my teachers have taught me something and helped me grow in a way, and that's where I gain my inspiration from rather than looking at um, famous violin. Because I also like I think about where I'm at and how I'm well known, and like you know like you look at these famous violinists and you think, why are they famous? Like, are they famous because
Mm.
they're like the best of the best, like Joshua Bell, or were they just at the right place at the right time and now they're really well known, like me? Like, I'm not the best of the best. I know I'm not. I'm not technically perfect, and I'm a good performer, and that's where I like how I can have created a career out of it. But in terms of like, you know, finding admiration from like the best of the best. I find that it's the people that I surround myself. I don't know if I'm making much sense here, but
No, you are.
personally,
You
I
are.
think a lot of inspiration from the people around me and the people I spend time with rather than celebrities and idols and famous people. That's always been my personality. I've never really been huge at looking at like, you know, the big names in
Yeah.
society. Well, yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
no,
don't
no, it's a good
maybe
thing. No, it's great. No, it's good because again, like you fall into traps of wanting to copy other people, and yet you don't. It's all about finding your own. I think a big thing for me this past year is just finding my own identity and just like putting
yeah.
yourself into, like in my case, acting work or like the podcast work, and like you found yourself. Have put like Evie into your music, so when people hear you play, they think, "Oh, that's Evie. That's Evie. We
Yeah.
know we know that we can do that." And it would be great to be as fantastic as the greats, but then we have to find our own sort of niche first, and then find
Yeah.
greatness first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if you're always copying someone, you're always just going to be behind them. Whereas if you're not like, if originality comes from yourself, it doesn't come from copying. You can gain inspiration from other people, absolutely. But when
Mm,
you start copying every step that someone does, you'll find that you're always behind them because you're now relying on them for inspiration rather than creating your own. And I've always been a big believer in that. That's why I don't spend heaps of time following other violinists. With that said, I have so many friends that are violinists and I love them and I support them and we're such good friends and I always support their work, but I don't sit there and study everything they do because that's their work. That's unique to them. And it's my
mm,
responsibility to be focusing on my work and creating what is unique to me and being able to speak my style and my personality in my music. I think it's very um, it can be like a disservice to my own work if I start spending too much time following what other people do.
mm.
But I can still like acknowledge and love and support what others do without, you know, obsessing over what they do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, was that a message that I forgot to ask about your training actually, the Melbourne Conservatorium of Music? Well, first of all, A, how was it? Well, what did you learn? And B, like, was that a big lesson that you learned there was to find your own creativity and find your own identity in your music?
Yeah, I personally struggled with university because of just like my personality type and the um, type of universities. I think it's a pretty common theme at any type of art school anywhere in the world that like you don't go to art school to find creativity. You go to art school or like a creative arts creative school to like refine your skill.
Mm.
Um, I found that a lot of my time at uni was spent being taught how to like fit into a box, but I
Mm.
was a circle. Like they were trying to fit me into a square, but I'm a circle. Like it was never going to work. So um that's probably the easiest way to like the best way to describe what it was like for uni at me. With that said, I still got through like it's a 3-year course. I did over 4 years because I was working professionally as well at the same time and touring.
Wow.
Um, but I learned a lot about character building. I learned a lot about obviously like refining my skill as a violinist, but I spent more time like trying to face a lot of challenges with people that just didn't understand me. Um, what I've learned about business and career did not come from university. I learned that actually in the fitness industry of all places. And I've actually noticed there's a lot of people in my cohort that graduated the same year as me who haven't quite been able to find the career that they want to as a musician because it's just not something we were taught at uni. So, and I
Yeah.
think that's the downfall of what happens at university as well as like they teach you the skill, they forget to teach you how to turn it into a career.
Yeah.
Where I was lucky to have the experiences and the stubbornness that I had to be able to figure that out myself. Um, but yeah, I think like I don't regret any part of my study. I think there's certainly a lot of things I probably would handle a lot more graciously now if I were back there, but I did graduate 5 years ago.
Mm.
That's sobering. But um, yeah, I think I like it is a huge part of the like reason I am the person I am today. But there's a lot there that I think it, the person I am today is also not just from university either.
Mm. No, I can relate completely. Yeah, I had a bit of an up and down relationship with uni because it was all academia, and it's like I remember one question in my first year said we had to write a 1,500 word essay, and this was the title: discuss the premise that meaning making in theatre solemnly resides with the spectator. And it's like English, please. It's like yeah, what does that mean?
For a moment, I was like, I didn't understand a word of that, and I don't know if that's like
No,
I'm smart
neither
enough
did
to
I.
understand that or kind of thing.
No, neither did I. No, I just, and then it was a
What?
lot of stuff like that. But anyway, long story short, it like I can relate entirely what you said. Taught me about character building and taught me about how to look after myself, how to like just completely and utterly, just like you're in this bubble of your comfort zone at 18, and then you go to uni, and then someone just goes and pops it, and then
Yeah,
suddenly you're just out there like, what the fuck?
but yeah,
Yeah, and you're like trying to find your way in the world, and yeah, it taught me a lot of really important lessons, and I'm very grateful for it. And it gave me some opportunities that if I hadn't gone, then I would never have had. I got a chance to work at the National Theatre in my third year as well, which was a huge thing, which was
yeah.
amazing, amazing experience. But yeah, so there are some good things there, but I can totally relate to that. So tell me about, so you've done uni, you've survived it, you've got through those 4 years. Uh, um, how were your first sort of few years in the business like? How did you get your work?
So I graduated at the end of 2020, sorry, not 2019, straight into COVID.
Oh wow.
I honestly I did my graduation and I went and got a manicure with like, not crazy, but I got like long nails done. I was like, this is kind of like a FU to the uni to be like, you've made me pay my instrument to the fact that I'm gonna make it so I can't play right now. Um, so stupid. It was so immature, but I was also like, I just was kind of like, thank goodness I'm getting out of here.
Mm.
Um, and also because my dad went to the same university 46 years before me
Oh
and
wow.
had quite a lot of like similar challenges. So like it's sad to think that after like almost 50 years, it's still nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I graduated and was just like, I have no positive association with this instrument. Like I cannot enjoy it right now. University has sucked my soul dry. I
Mm.
just want to pack it up and not look at it for a while. And
Yeah.
honestly, at the time, I was like, I just want to pack it up and never look at it again. And a friend of mine at the time said to me, look, there's this fighter in UFC. I don't know if you know what UFC is. It's like
Yeah,
Ultimate
yeah.
Fighting.
It's like cage fighting, yeah.
Yeah, similar, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said that like a really well-known martial art, mixed martial art, I don't know what they do, what it is, I can't remember the name. Um, they were like, they just got sick of it one day and they quit and had some time off completely away from the sport and then were able to find their passion for it again and then came back and then like went on to become an incredible champion.
Hmm.
And my friend at the time said like this, like, I think you just need a break from it. And at the time I was like, I really hope you're right because right now I just cannot find any love for it at all. I just want to quit it. I never want to look at it again. Like it depresses me that I've just wasted 4 years at this place that has literally made me hate why I went there. And like went into the first year of COVID into 2020, focusing on my fitness and health. Like that's when, so Melbourne had the very like famous run of COVID lockdowns. Like I think we were one of the most locked down city in
Yeah.
the world
Australia had it
during
rough.
lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we had it really bad. And Melbourne in particular was just ridiculous. Our premier really screwed us up. And so in that time, I just focused on my health and fitness. I did my PT and coaching certification. So I started like coaching people online and like focusing on like prepping for a show. Like I wanted to compete and like just completely different world. Like I went from classical violinist to bodybuilder. And um, that year taught me a lot about business because I was working for a friend of mine in her business, like coaching. I was running challenges and coaching online. So that taught me about business. I learned about discipline, and how to fail forward. I learned about like, there's so much that I learned through this 1 year of like heavy, like fitness focus.
Mm.
And then in 2021, I was prepping for a friend's wedding. She asked me to play violin for it. So I was sort of prepping for it. And then I had this like realization, like I had this epiphany that I wanted to do, like launch my own business in the wedding industry as a soloist. And then it's like all these questions I had in my head were answered, like how I was going to do it, where I was going to do it, how I was going to start, all these sort of things. And so like leading on from that day, every time we went into a snap lockdown here in Melbourne, because I was working at a gym at the time, but every time we went into lockdown, I
Mm.
couldn't go to work. So I would focus on building my website and like building my social media and everything and kind of launched it. So when we came out of lockdown on the start of November 2021, I was able to hit the ground running and launch the business.
Mm.
And then a month later, I quit my job at the gym and went full time with it. Like just went crazy with it.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah. Would you say like that moment at your friend's wedding was like a moment where you thought it's like those like you say you took a break for a while, but then there's like that musical animal inside you going like, come on, like now's the time to get back to it now.
Kind of, I think it was more like I'd found a purpose within my music to pursue because I always wanted to do like I can always pick up the instrument and start playing, but I like to have something to work towards. So
Yeah, sure.
working towards like a concert or a performance or something like that. Whereas I didn't really have anything to work towards. I didn't have any work organized or anything. And then like having my own business and something to work towards that kind of gave me that fire back. But it didn't come like the love for the instrument didn't come back. It was more like just a way of making a living that I was really excited. I was more excited about the business side of things than the playing side. And then it, like eventually I was able to find the love for the playing side again.
Yeah. What was it like coming to like did they teach you much about the business side of it at university, or was that something
Nothing,
that nothing at all?
nothing.
So you come
I
to
learned
that,
all in the fitness industry,
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, so you came to that like extremely fresh, extremely like almost like self-taught, this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how did you do that? Because like there's so many components to this thing. How did you,
So
is
many. So
yeah,
my brain is like when it comes to if I want to do something, I figure it out. Like I'm a problem solver. And so I was like, okay, I want to play violin at weddings. How do I do that? How do I get there? And the first two things I thought of was the website and social media.
yeah,
And my dad is a musician. My mum, she's like incredible when it comes to like understanding business and legal side of things. And like when I told her I was so excited about starting a business, Dad was all excited about helping me build my repertoire. Mum was like, right, let's write you a contract. And I was like, well, that's very unsexy. And she was like, but it's important. And like, thank God. Like that's where it got started. So um I just had all this time to sort of figure it out over time. And like I'm very much a learn on the go kind of person. So, if something works or doesn't work for me, I just like, learn for the next time. So,
Mm,
there's times at weddings where I'm like, okay, the communication here wasn't great, or like, my poor couple are like so confused by something that I've like a task I've given them to like help them find like choose their song or something. How can I make this easier? And then I refine my processes, I refine my systems within my business so it's easier for everyone.
mm.
I'm all about like minimum effort, maximum result when it comes to that sort of stuff as well. So, yeah, just like I learned it on the go. It was very self-taught, but there are also a lot of things that I sort of learned through running a business and different softwares I could use, like booking softwares and like automated emails and stuff like that. It was all just very like figure it out. And Google's a great thing.
Yeah,
How do I do this? Google tells you.
yeah, Google helps. But yeah, just very quickly, like your website now is great. And what did you use to build it? Because I think I need one. So,
Squarespace.
which one?
Squarespace.
Westspace.
Squarespace.
Squarespace. Is that just something for Australia, or can you get that everywhere?
I'm sure it's everywhere. I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, almost certain it's for everywhere, surely. But it's
yeah,
just like it's like Wix or like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
GoDaddy. Yeah, I use Squarespace. It's very user friendly. It's great for people who are not website writers.
Mm.
And it's great for like creative as well. Yeah. Honestly, I've like spent the last couple of days like updating my website because I've got so many new photos and yeah, it's like it's honestly I found it very empowering being able to learn the skill of building my own website so I don't have to rely on someone else to do it for me.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's very good. And then sort of, I think, and from what you're saying there, it's like you went through the trials and tribulations of university, and then I can relate on every level. I'm sure many, many people do. But then you come out of that, and then you get through all that, and then the world shuts down. And but then you build like your website up and everything, and then you go to your friend's wedding. The music and inspiration comes back, and then from there, then things start to open up again, thankfully. And then suddenly you just go on a roll with this thing. Then you're like on weddings, 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 weddings all the time. And yeah, how did you feel when you sort of like found your rhythm and you got gig after gig after gig after gig?
I felt so good. Like I felt like um the opportunist in me was very happy. But I'm a big believer in networking and connecting with people and like you never know where a relationship might take you as well. I have
Exactly.
this friend of mine, his name's Orget. He's a saxophone player from Sydney. And we connected in the first like month of my business launching through just social media and just connected on Instagram. And I like had said, I just love your work. I like, got incredible, vibrant energy. He's Albanian and he's like just incredible.
Mm,
And anyway, he messaged me one day saying, I've got a wedding coming up in Melbourne. It's on this date. Are you available? And I was like, oh, yeah, it's a Tuesday. I'm like, of course I'm available. He's like, come to the wedding. Um, and I want to perform with you. And I was like, oh my God, great. Okay. Yeah. Like, let's do it. What are we playing? He was like, oh, we'll figure it out when we get there. And like, I was like, no, but like, tell me, tell me what I'm playing. He's like, no, no, we'll figure it out when we get there. Cause I'd never met him in person before. I just met through social media.
okay.
Anyway, um, got to the wedding and he helped me sound check and everything. And then he's like, all right, we're going to do this song for the entrance. This is the key. We'll figure it out. And we did this duo. And like he had read like not like read into my performances, like what he saw on social media. Improvisation is like a strong skill of mine. So he just had to just give me a key and we just figured it out and improvised our way through an entrance. And then he got me to think on my toes, basically. And then he told me a story later that evening about how when he first came to Australia, he used to invite himself to people's weddings, like rock up, like full wedding crash, go to someone's wedding and say and be like, I'm a top secret surprise that someone in the guests has booked for the couple. I can't tell you who it is. I'm so sorry. I promise them I can't tell. I'm just doing like a quick performance during dinner and then like I'll go. Anyway, he like rock up to these weddings, plug in, do the performance, and like the couple would be like, "Oh my God, who booked you?" And he's like, "I can't tell you. I'm so sorry." Like I promised them that they would tell you. And then like no one in the guests would just like it's a top secret. So like even the venue or the MC or the DJ would be like, "Who's booked you?" And he's like, "I'm so sorry. I promised them I can't say." And the truth is no one booked him. He just rocked up to someone's wedding, and that was how he got people to like he people came up. Oh, sorry, people came up to him at weddings, being like, "Oh my God, my sister's getting married next month. Can you come and play at her wedding?" And that's how he got more gigs and more gigs, and he got his name out. And that's essentially what he was doing for me. He was facilitating that for me to like crash weddings, and like the weddings he was performing at in Melbourne were like mostly friends of his. So like it happened on two occasions. One, that first time, that Albanian wedding in it was in Geelong, where I like rocked up and I did the whole night with him and we had
Yeah.
a great time, like got through the entire evening. And the second time he called me and it was like a couple of months later and I had a wedding during the day, just a ceremony, and then I'd finished for the day and I remember being really exhausted and I came home and I took a nap with my hair and makeup still on. I just like laid down on my bed and fell asleep.
Yeah.
Woke up at 6 p.m. My phone was going crazy, and Auget, my friend, had called me, and he was like, "I know you had a wedding today. Like, are you busy right now?" And I was like, "I'm not." Why? He was like, "Is your hair and makeup still done?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can you come to this venue? There's this entertainment team that were meant to be here to perform, but they've like someone's got COVID, now they're isolating and now they can't come, and I feel bad for the couple. Can you come and do a surprise performance?" Um, with me during dinner.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. And I
So
rocked up to the wedding and he was like, we'll just do a party set or something at the end of the evening. But I got there earlier. So he was like, we'll do something during dinner. And he like kind of like encouraged me he just sort of just shoved me onto the dance floor. And I'm like, what am I playing? I haven't even given you my USB, no tracks, nothing. I've like barely plugged in. And he starts playing some music. And luckily for him, luckily for me, actually, it was music that I knew. But like, and then I did this impromptu performance. And the next thing, there's this girl, like at some point in the evening, I was in the bathroom and there's a girl trying to find me in the bathroom because she's like, I have to book you for my sister's wedding next month. Then from their wedding, there was a chain, it was a chain reaction. So like
yeah.
things like that, like pushing, getting out of my comfort zone was like a really big part of it and like saying yes to things and like, you know, I mean, like it's one thing to like I obviously had a lot of trust in Orget from the start. We'd connected for a fair bit through social media
Yeah.
beforehand, so I trusted him enough to like rock up to a wedding and work with him, even though I hadn't met him before. But like I also trusted him enough to like not let me make a fool of myself. And so he pushed me enough to help me grow without absolutely freaking myself out. And I surprised him, I surprised myself. Just like getting out of my comfort zone. I think it's a really important part of being able to grow as a musician. And it's happened many times. Like I've rocked up to weddings where things have been changed last minute and I'm like, okay, what's the new plan? What are we doing? Like I think being able to be versatile and like work well on the fly is really important. But not many people do it. I've noticed it's a skill. It's a skill in itself.
It really is, yeah. Can I just say that's either a very, very clever tactic to crash weddings like that, or very, very dangerous because people can just go, security, I don't know who this guy is, get him out. And then next thing you know, the
But
plane
it's
goes,
so like he didn't do anything like he was just the sax player. He just rocked
okay.
up and he's like, someone's just booked me to play saxophone at this wedding. I'm so sorry, I can't tell you who it is. It's like a top secret. It happens all the time. I've been booked as a surprise before, rocked up to weddings and no one's known I'm coming and I'm like, okay, well, like here's the deposit. Like I've been paid to be here. So yeah, it's like surprises are something that can happen a fair bit at weddings, so it is easy to get away with it. But he's very smart with how he did it, like being able to pull that off on multiple occasions. Sorry, my neighbor has a cat. It's a new neighbor. It's a new cat.
It's
I
just
just walked
staring at
past.
you. It's staring at you.
Walk past on the fence. How cute. But yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like it's risky, but it worked.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the courage, the balls on this guy, Jesus. I mean, but if it wasn't for that, then maybe you wouldn't be where you are now. Do you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, just
Look.
take a
Oh,
shot. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, there's um there's a great comedian. Do you know who Ricky Gervais is?
of course.
Yeah, okay. Oh, it's great man. He in one of his Netflix shows, I think it's the which one was it? Humanity, the first one of the first ones he did. It's on Netflix. He said because he's a comedian, he tells jokes, and he said me and my brother have got one simple rule: if you think of something funny, you've got to say it, right?
Yeah.
Win, lose, or draw. It might go well, it might go badly. When I think, and that just reminded me of that he just rocked up going, yeah, I'm the surprise guy. It's like, but your name's on the list, but I'm the surprise. And then you go in,
Yeah.
and suddenly all these connections start getting made and stuff. And that's great. But yeah, I'm just thinking about how, again, if you go on your website, you get to a section where you go, this is what I can play. And I thought, oh, cool. And I just looked through it, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And did you say yesterday it was like 500 songs that you've got up
Yeah.
here? I'm
There's
like,
like 500 songs memorized in my brain.
how do you do that?
I think there's an art to it, but I don't put this pressure on myself to learn things note for note. I give myself some creative license to make it my own. So each time I play it, it's different, but it's still like somewhat of the melody. It's about learning it like, I don't know. It's like, okay, you're an actor, right? So like
Yeah.
say you're given like a paragraph that you need to like your character has to say this paragraph and it's in your script.
Mm,
If you learn it word for word, like you can, but it's at risk of feeling robotic, and it's also going to take you a lot longer to learn it word for word for word. If
yeah.
you read that paragraph and then you understand it and digest it as you, Oliver,
Mm,
so that you can say it as your character, it might not be word for word exactly, but you're still getting the message across. That's similar what it's like to like learning a new song for me. So I memorize it from a like a shape perspective in my head, how I imagine the melody goes and everything like that based on what I've like learned and listened to in the song.
yeah.
But I give myself a bit of creative license to make it my own as well. So each time I play it, it might not be note for note. And if I make a mistake, I know how to improvise my way out of it. So it seems like it was part of the song. So it's like they're not memorized note for note, but they are memorized so that I can still play the song and people know what the song is.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, you mentioned about one thing I wanted to ask you about was like if someone throws like a spanner in the works, and what I mean by that is like if someone because you mentioned yesterday in our chat that you have like a cut-off point of like 2 weeks before the event, so you know exactly to get your set list. So you know this song first, and this one, and this one, and this one. But if someone goes, "Wait, can you play this?" and you go, "It's not part of my set list. I can't do that." But yeah, but what's it like if someone does try and throw a spanner in the works and say like, "Oh, can you play I don't know, Thousand Years, Christine Perry?" And you go, "But that's not on
Yeah,
the list."
if I can, I will. But a lot of my set lists are like pre-created before the day. I have them like I create my set list before the day in order because it's based on like I've created that based on what the client has asked for. There's
Sure.
always going to be some random drunk uncle that asks for a song request, and like I just politely say, "I'm not
No,
a jukebox."
I'm
No.
not a jukebox.
Like I'm a live musician. DJs even hate it. Like DJs hate getting song requests because like they've done an element of preparation and like people always request songs that they like, but it's not a song that will suit the room or it doesn't read the room right. So like, you know, I've always found that anytime I do a song request, like someone requests a song and I actually do it, it never quite works out the way they want it to. So it's one of those things. But yeah, very used to having people throw spanners in the work. And if I can, I will, but like often I can't. It's like I'm not set up to be able to do that because I'll be, mid-performance where everything's like pre-mixed on a DJ, pre-mixed on a USB, given to the DJ. The DJ can't shuffle things around. It doesn't always like the situation doesn't always work that way.
Mm. Yeah, it's always about it's like a reminder that you are a human being as well. You're not a machine. That yeah, you've got 500 songs logged up here, but and in here as well. But yeah, like you say, you're not a jukebox. Yeah, I mean the drunk uncle metaphor is yeah, that's very very real. I mean you must get that a lot.
Not as often as I think people would expect. I don't really facilitate an opportunity for people to give me requests either.
Mm.
So like while I'm performing, like I do get people trying to talk to me while I'm performing. It's always quite entertaining because I'm
You're like,
like
just one moment, please.
I'm like, see, thank you. But they'll be like, do you know this song? And I'm like, yes, I do. And then I kind of just walk away before they can say, can you play it? Like, of course I know that song. Bye.
Yes, I do. Go away.
But yeah, like there's always someone. But I think most of the time, like etiquette in Australia at the events that I do at the very least, like the etiquette is that people know better than to start throwing requests at me. They know to respect the performance, but there's always like every now and then you get it at
Yeah,
some point.
yeah, for sure. We'll come on to your European tour in just a second, but having sort of seen like some of the stories and posts on your Instagram page, some of these places you're performing in are bougie. I mean, Jesus. I
Yeah.
mean, they're like. Tell me about the one where you're performing in like in this venue, and you've got people with massive giant sparklers going off inside. What's that like to work with? And you've got all these things going off, and you're trying to play, but you've got these distractions like all over the place. What's it like for that?
It's not distracting at all. I'm very used to the sparklers. But that particular event that I think you're talking about was an awards night for the Australian Bridal Industry Academy.
Yeah,
But like honestly, every time I walk into work, especially like in these venues that are prone to having like quite huge styling setups, it's just magical walking in. It's like walking into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory for the first time. It's just very like wow, like incredible. It takes your breath away. And then being able to like perform amongst that and be a part of that vision, and especially because I get into the real detail of like what color dress I wear based on like the color of the florals and the styling. I like to match that.
yeah,
So it's sort of yeah, like even a wedding I did on Sunday at Crown Casino, it was an incredibly lavish setup for an Afghan wedding, and the dress that I chose just matched everything perfectly. It just looked like I was part of the vision. It was really cool.
yeah,
But yeah, some of the setups are just insane. In
yeah.
fact, one of my best friends, she's a stylist herself. Like she does all the styling at weddings. Her wedding last year was incredible. Like the venue she chose was like a blank canvas, and she took it to the next level. It was insane. It was so beautiful.
Yeah. What does she do?
She's a stylist, so she like styles weddings.
All
That's
right.
her job.
Oh yeah, yeah. But when you say like blank canvas, you don't mean like you walk in and the rooms are just all completely
Oh,
white.
no, no, no. She did like she blacked out the entire room with black acrylic and then had like white and green hydrangeas all around the room. And then even her ceremony, she had like a amphitheater podium set up, and I was in the middle of the podium. It was just insane.
Oh, that's
Insane.
bad. Yeah, you made some connections with some really cool people, I have to say. But yeah, and so let's jump into. So you've just finished your tour of Europe this year. You came here to the UK. You went to France. You went to Greece. You went to Italy. You went all over the place. Yeah, how was it?
Incredible. There's no
Yeah,
other word. It was incredible. It was
yeah.
life-changing. I've never been to Europe before this, and I know a lot about the cultures of the places I went to based on what I know from here in Australia. Because in Australia, especially at weddings, like a wedding is the most culturally rich experience you can have.
Mm,
Whether you've got the food, the people, the language, the traditions, the music, the dancing, but then you go to the countries and it's like totally different.
yeah.
Like honestly, Greece was probably I was in Greece for most of it,
Mm,
and it was just incredible. Like Greeks in Greece are the most beautiful, gracious people. They're
Mm,
so welcoming. Like I flew into Greece and I felt like I was at home. It was
mm,
incredible.
yeah,
Everywhere I went, it was just insane.
yeah. Now I'm going to ask a question that's going to be so like just generic right now. So if anyone from Greece listening to this, no, I'm sorry, this is a very touristy question, I have to say. Um, is it true that, well, I think it's probably true anyway, but at weddings in Greece that they smash plates at the ceremony?
Yes.
Why
Out
do
of the
why do they do
ceremony,
that?
there's plate smashing. I can't tell you why because I actually don't know, but
Okay.
I know that they smash plates in the morning and then they smash plates again at the reception. I would say my partner is Greek and
Yeah.
like that's probably what our wedding will look like. Lots of smash plates. Like
Yeah.
it is such a fun tradition. They do it here in Australia as well. It is just like I don't know why they do it though. I have no idea. I might Google it later.
Yeah, I will as well.
I'm gonna ask Michael. I'm gonna be like, why do they smash plates at weddings?
Yeah. Now let me know his response because I'm just as keen to know. But yeah, and I think I remember seeing that somewhere, and I just thought, why do they do that? Why do they do that? But yeah, it'd be nice to know the answer actually. Might be.
Yeah, I've just asked him.
Yeah,
He's replying.
is he replying now?
Um, yeah,
Let's see. What does he say?
he's like typing.
Hmm.
Take ages
Here
to
we go.
reply.
We're about to get an exclusive here, guys. This is why.
It's performed at special events, parties, and festive occasions to symbolize the release of tension and the desire of prosperity. The release of tension, that's so funny.
Release it.
Greeks consider it a way to have fun and release positive energy in a celebratory atmosphere.
Okay.
He's definitely copied and pasted that from
Yeah.
Google.
So that's a very quick response, like to type that quickly as well.
Yeah, he's definitely Googled that. But like,
Yeah, that's definitely
but
kind
he probably knows like what it means, but he probably didn't know how to word it. But like, that makes sense. It is certainly very tension relieving. It is
Mm.
very, very like cathartic. Um, I find that I always end up with like dusty feet and because the plates that they use aren't normal plates, so they're not like shards of glass. It's like
Okay.
a very soft ceramic. They're not glossed or anything like that. So they break really easily and they don't because I've had like shards of broken plates at these weddings, like all over my legs and
Oh
never
dear.
drew blood, so I've been fine.
Okay.
It's more, it's very, very dusty shoes afterwards, so you don't wear your good shoes. But yeah, otherwise, like it is just such a fun tradition, but there's an art to it. Like people like smash plates over each other's heads and like they have like a big pile of plates and they smash the plates so it like they smash them all and then or they break them all. It's just like it is very cathartic. It's very fun to watch.
Yeah. I can imagine like you go up to the drunk uncle in that wedding, just be like, stay still, stay still. Is that, oh God, is that cruel or funny? I don't know. Maybe it's both. But
Usually the drunk uncle in the middle doing all of the smashing. But one of the weddings I did in Sifnos, the first wedding I did in Greece was on the island of Sifnos.
mhm,
Um, they had a huge amount of plate smashing, and then a very Cypriot tradition they included was the groom took his shirt off and they burnt it. They like covered it, doused it in like bourbon, and
uh-huh.
then they put it on top of all of the plates. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what have I walked into? And the band I was working with, they're all Cypriot. So they were like, no, this is a very Cyprian tradition.
Yeah,
So
it's like the
Cypriot's like Malta of Greece. It's like
right.
a small part of Greece that everyone like assumes is part of Greece.
If that happened over here, the police should be called and everyone will be sent home. That doesn't happen
Ah,
over here. People will
I
be
don't
like,
need to go in Greece. They just go crazy there.
yeah, oh, it's a beautiful country. I need to get back there actually. But Yeah, so you do all these weddings and stuff, but I'm curious to know about like some of the reactions you get because weddings there are like you say there could be a tense day there could because of all the prep that goes into them. But anyway, once that's all done and then you're there performing your stuff, you've probably performed for first bride and group dances, right?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
performed for any part of the day.
Yeah, I mean, what's been like some of the reactions that you've got like from the music or from like just being there? What's been like some wedding ceremonies you've been
People
like,
are
oh wow, this is
very
special.
people are very just grateful and thankful for the music. Like I think for me, like I've been doing this for so long, like the novelty of playing pop music in a classical way is sort of worn off. Like it's just what I do every day, but people still get so um like astounded by it. They're like, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, I forget that other people have like never experienced it before. So it's pretty cool, like how people respond and like how it brings them joy. Like that's like the overall, feedback is that they like it brings them joy, which is the goal. That's
Mm.
always my goal.
Yeah, and then again, going back to that list, you've got all these genres of music. You've got pop, you've doubled with classic repertoire as well. But what's like some of your favorite and least favorite songs to play? What songs do you not want people to recommend?
Um, um, I don't know. I think like there's always, I don't know, like I always end up, there's always songs that I'm like, oh, I'm not really looking forward to playing this. And then
Mm.
I change my mind when I actually perform it. The songs that I love playing are the ones that like get a crowd reaction. So like personally, and this might bother a few people that listen to this. I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan. I think like I think because I work in the wedding industry, I see her stuff so often and I'm tired of it. Like I'm tired of Taylor Swift, especially when she came to Melbourne. Oh my God, like getting around Melbourne when she was here was a nightmare. Anyway, playing Taylor Swift and the reaction it gets, I love that. I love how people respond to Taylor Swift. I like playing her music. I don't like listening to it. Um, that's quite the case for a lot of things. I think there's a lot of songs out there that I'm like, people just love this music. They absolutely froth it, and they just like they don't they just go crazy. And I'm like, I love playing it because it gets the reaction, it gets people involved. But yeah, I might not necessarily like listening to the song, but I love playing it. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
turn my light on.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Oh, it's getting dark.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Right now, cool. Yeah, because you have these certain songs. Yeah, I'm not a big Swifty fan either, but she's got good songs. I would imagine you've played Love Story quite a few times at weddings.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I like I hate listening to but love playing.
Yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy. You love it and hate it at the same time. But
Yeah.
yeah, so people can expect you back on the road in Europe next year. So yeah, what's the plan? Just to do more weddings? Are you going to do more concerts? What's next?
So next year's tour will be predominantly based for private events and weddings again. With that said, I'm open to anything. So if there's something public that comes along, I'm definitely keen for it. But at the moment, it's just focusing on weddings. I'm still breaking into the industry. Like this year was my first European tour, with the goal of doing it if every year, if not every second year. But yeah, it's looking like I'll be there mostly July and August, and I'll be based in Greece for most of it. So most of my clientele, I think, because everyone seems to think that I'm Greek, um, a lot of my clients are like they're mostly Greek weddings, which I'm not mad about. I love Greece; it has my heart. But I'll be mainly between Greece and Italy.
Nice.
Um, and then I'll be going back to Malta, which is where I'm from originally. And then we'll see. Hopefully, I can get back to Mallorca as well. I loved it this year. I'd love to go
Nice.
back. It's
Nice.
just, yeah, I play by ear. I just say, like, hey, I'm in Europe during this time. If you want to book me, at least I'm there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll
Nice.
see.
Did you grow up in Malta then?
No, I grew up like going back to Malta this year was like my first time going back. It wasn't going back, it was my first time in Malta. I
Oh,
was born
really?
in Australia. Um, I have a Maltese citizenship, but I that was my first time in Malta, so hoping to go back next year.
Yeah. What's the native language in Malta?
Maltese.
Maltese. Okay. Yeah. Are you fluent? Can you speak Maltese?
I literally can speak more Greek than I can Maltese. Again, why people assume that I'm Greek, but
Yeah.
Maltese, the language, like in Malta, everyone speaks English, so
Oh, that's good.
uh, it is a language that I wish I learned. But my mum, she was she was born in Australia, but her parents, as she was growing up, sort of wanted the kids to be able to fit in and just speak English, so they didn't really speak. No, none of my like aunties or uncles really speak Maltese. They
Yeah.
might be able to understand it, but they don't really speak it. So it's a bit
Cool.
disappointing. But yeah, like I can try and learn the language, but it is like out of all the European languages that I can speak little bits of, like I can speak a bit of French, I can speak a bit of Italian, I can speak a fair bit of, Spanish and Greek. Maltese is so challenging for me.
Yeah,
So
just
challenging.
just stick with the other four that you already know, which is more than the common person knows.
I mean, I'm not fluent. I can just say hello, thank you, please,
Yeah,
goodbye. My name is Evie. How are you? Where is the bathroom? I
where's
can
the
say
part?
that.
I would like this. No, I only know one word in Greek, and that's how you say cheers. You say yamas.
Yamas. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know. Apart from that,
Yamas.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a challenging language because then on top of that, it's the alphabet as well.
Oh,
Alphabet.
it's like hieroglyphs, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
it's not words. It's just I don't know.
Like,
Yeah, it's a challenge to learn that. Take my hat off to the Greek people. But so this is a question I wanted to. We'll get on to sort of one thing I really want to talk to you about, which is, of course, your performances at the football ground at for the A-League Melbourne Victory Team specifically. But this is a question that I've always liked asking musicians and stuff. And so for you, Evie, how does it feel when you play the violin? How does it make you feel?
like at the games or like in general?
But like in general, how does it feel when you're playing?
Oh, like amazing. It's very, I mean, it depends on the day, it depends what I'm playing, but like it takes me to another place. It's like, I don't know, I go into another world.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
invigorating.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's always a big one, isn't it? But yeah, that's so the A-League Melbourne Victory Team and the AFL's Carlton Football Club you have performed at. We've all seen the videos on YouTube. So tell me, how did that come about exactly?
So the original booking with Melbourne Victory was so out of the blue. So in April this year, so April is like it's peak season for weddings here in Melbourne. Um, so
Sure.
having a Saturday off is very rare, very, very
Mm.
rare. And the week before, so the performance was on the 6th of April. I remember that, which was a Saturday. The week before that, I got a message from one of the agents that I work with. So I do most of my work privately, and then on occasion, agents will reach out and be like, "Hey, I've got a client who's after a violinist. Are you free on this day?" That's
Mm.
what happened on this occasion. So Leighton, who's now like an acting manager for me for a lot of my corporate work,
Yeah.
he messaged me saying like, "Hey, like highly likely that you're booked out on this day, but like, are you free next Saturday to perform with Melbourne Victory at Amy Park?" I was like, actually, I'm free because like I had 7 other bookings that weekend between Friday and Sunday. So I had like 2 on Friday or 3 on Friday, 1 on the Saturday. I don't know. I had a lot that weekend. I just remember a lot going on.
Mm.
And I had the Saturday free, and I remember or the Saturday night free because I had a wedding, like a bridal shower during the day, like in the morning, and then that night free. And I had a bunch of inquiries for this night. Nothing was really sticking. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'll just have the night off. Like I'll appreciate it when the day comes.
Mm.
And then Leighton messaged me saying if I was free, and I was like, yeah, I'm free. He's like, okay, cool. And I just thought it was like a corporate thing. Like I didn't really think much of it because even at MCG, they have all these corporate rooms at the MCG. So even though the venue might be a stadium, it doesn't mean it's in the middle of the pitch. It generally would mean like a side room where they have corporate events. So I didn't think much of it. And then I got locked in. I got the brief for it, and I was like, okay, this is 25,000 people are going to be there. I don't know what that's about. Like, I thought that was a typo. I was like, maybe it's 250 people, and there's just like a typo on the amount of people. And I was telling my friend about it, Dana. She's like a massive soccer fan, football fan,
Mm.
and I was like, I got this gig next Saturday for at Amy Park for Melbourne Victory. I'm playing like a pre-match performance. And she looked at the brief. She was like, Evie, this is a big deal. Like, how are you not more excited? And I was like, I don't really quite understand what's happening. Like, I don't understand what this means. She's like, tell your manager I'm coming with you. I'm gonna be there with you. So he organized for her to be there with me, to be like to have a pass. So she was there backstage in the tunnels with me. And we rocked up to sound check, and then I realized what was happening when they handed me my pass and it says like field of play allowed access. I was
Hmm.
like, okay, it's like okay, I'm starting to see this is a bit more of a big deal. And she yeah, she was like I had Dana there the whole time and helped me like really calm my nerves. I was very nervous as well. And did the performance. I have my in-ears in, so my like the in-ears so I can hear the music playing that I'm playing to. Because the stadium, obviously, there's quite a big delay. And so I can't hear what it feels like in the stadium at the time of the performance. It's not until I see the video back that I realize like everyone's chanting. It was just crazy. Anyway, I was like, okay, well, that was a cool performance. That was fun. What an experience. Like packed up. Oh, we went and watched a bit of the game, but like I didn't know what was going on. I honestly didn't know. Honestly, I walked out onto the pitch for the first time and walked past a soccer ball and realized it wasn't rugby. Like that's how little I know about the sport. And people, Melbourne Victory fans know that. Like people know that I'm not huge with sport and that I don't know much about the sport. So they're like, no, she's just the violinist. It's okay. We still love her. I'm like, I don't know anything about the sport. Anyway, a couple of days later on the Monday, I was going out for breakfast with some friends, and one of the girls who I was with, her husband sent, and she's a violinist as well. So
Mm.
her husband sent this video of me, not realizing it was me, but he saw it and was like, "Hey, how cool is this?" And he sent it to her, and she was like, "Evie, isn't this you?" And I say this thing, and then like I open my phone. And I like watched the video. I'm like, oh my God, it is me. Like that's the video that's like this is the video that the original video that went viral. And
Mm.
I commented on it. I didn't know what to do. I commented on it being like, oh my God, that's me. And that's all I did. And then A-League and Melbourne Victory pinned my comment to the top. And that's how all these people found out that it was me.
Mm.
And then my friends started to blow up. It was like people were adding me on Instagram, people were messaging me, like I was getting all these notifications. It was crazy. Like nothing could have prepared me for that week of chaos that came after that performance. It was like not just like going viral, like my Instagram was blowing up, but also like having news companies contacting me at like 6 in the morning. I got a phone call one day at like 5:30 in the morning to say, hey, can you come on TV today at 8 o'clock, like 8 a.m.
Mm.
I'm like, I'm still asleep. Like, who's calling me at this time? Things like that. And I did the interview from my car because, I had an appointment. I had a physio appointment that morning. I was like, I can't miss my physio appointment, so I'm gonna have to take the meeting in the car. And they were like, we would prefer that you weren't. And I was like, I'm very sorry.
I
I'm very
can't.
sorry that my busy life is in the way of your TV show. But with all due respect, you called me at 5:30 a.m. this
Yeah.
morning, and here we are 2.5 hours later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like it was just
I'm still half asleep,
I'm
thanks.
still half asleep. I'm barely caffeinated. So no, it was like a roller coaster that week. But
Yeah.
um no, it was it's such a fun experience. And then obviously Melbourne Victory asked me back a couple of weeks later. And then again the following week as well. So we just string of performances and it just became a thing. And now I'm like getting hassled every single day. Like, are you coming back? Because the season started here. And
Yeah.
so everyone's like, are you coming back to perform? And I'm like, I don't know. I might be.
Yeah. Can
Find
you?
out. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
The season's done.
Yeah. Would you like to?
Of course. Oh my God. They're honestly the most fun performances. Like I said before, I love it when that I get like crowd interaction like
Mm.
that. Nothing beats
Yeah.
Northern Territory.
Yeah.
That crowd
Yeah.
insane.
It's funny. Just very quickly, was that interview you did from your car? Was that the one you did for Sky News Australia?
No, Sky News was a little bit later. I did that in the studio with them.
Yeah.
This one was with the Today Show in
Oh, the Today
Australia.
Show. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You literally have your phone going, "Hey, how's it going?"
I had my laptop in the car and they were like FaceTiming beforehand and they were like, okay, can you move your car forward a little bit so that tree isn't in the way? And like, can you like, sit the computer? Oh, it was just a whole thing. It was so funny. I was like, this is an experience. This is a
Yeah.
nightmare right now. This is a logistical nightmare, but it's fun. It's going to be
Exactly.
something we like about later.
Yeah. Did you manage to get to your physio appointment as well?
Oh yeah, I called the physio. I was like, I might be 5 minutes late. And then I like, they're like, we know why you're 5 minutes late. We could see you on the TV. I was like, cool. At least you know why.
At least you know why. Literally finished that, boom, straight in. Yeah, you were
Yeah.
just there a second ago, and I was like,
Yeah.
right, you're in two places at once. It's brilliant. Um, so we talked about yesterday actually about, funny enough, this is something I've always thought about. I've been to concerts and stuff, and you got the earpieces in. I didn't realize you couldn't. That means like their noise cancelling. You can't hear the crowd or everything, right? You can hear yourself play, right? You can hear the notes you're playing, but you
Yeah.
can't hear the crowd.
Like, you know what a fold back speaker is?
Nah.
Okay, so when you're on a stage, um, say next time you go to say a band performing on
Mm,
the stage, there'll be speakers at the front of the stage that are pointing towards them,
mhm.
and it's so that they can hear themselves.
Ah,
Foldback and in-ear monitors work the same way. So it's so you can hear yourself in real time with like the backing track. Because when you're in a stadium and when you're in like a setting where the main speakers that the audience are hearing are like facing out this way, you can't
yeah.
hear yourself in real
Like
time.
in
And there might be
layers, aren't they? Yeah.
layers. You might not be able to hear it properly. You might not be able to hear cue points. There also sometimes can be click tracks as well.
Mm,
Depends on like the scenario. So in a stadium setting, because there's such a huge delay between what is playing live and then when it reaches the speakers, and also when it reaches the speakers and then when it reaches your ears, because there's a whole delay with sound. So it's the purpose of the in-ear monitors is so that everything is on time and I'm not listening to that for my cue. I'm listening to this for my cue because this is more on
yeah.
time. Fold back works the same way. So they can isolate as well certain instruments and certain parts of the track to be able to hear. So I like last weekend I had an event where I was working with two singers and a DJ and myself. And so I can hear in my ear the DJ, and I had the DJ at about 90% volume. I had myself on 80% volume, and then I had the two singers on 50% volume. So I can still hear them, but
Mm.
the priority is listening to the DJ and my own violin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I always wondered about what they actually did, whether you can actually hear. Obviously, you can hear yourself, and I didn't realize that you're. One thing you mentioned yesterday was like you're performing to your audience. They're going, "Evie, Evie," but but you can't hear them, and
I
you're
can't hear anything. I
no,
can't hear a thing.
you're literally just there
I'm
like,
just looking at them blankly, like, huh?
like,
It's funny, actually. I did a performance last Friday. I did a performance at the Plaza Ballroom, which is like this big, beautiful venue in Melbourne.
yeah.
And that's a venue that requires in-ears because it's such a huge room. And I'm roving around the space performing during dinner. And I was walking past this table and there was a gentleman trying to talk to me and I'm looking at him blankly. And his friend was like, she can't hear you. And I was like, I can't hear you. And I kept performing. I was sort of talking to them, but like performance, I don't use in-ears very often. I don't need them for weddings and that sort of thing because like
Yeah,
the room was not that big, but this particular event had like something ridiculous, 950 people there. There's
but
so many.
yeah,
The rooms are like, and it's already so loud in the room with people talking. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, you don't know when the in-ears are in. So, because they're like, I mean, if you look at my ears, you can see them, but like generally they're pretty discreet.
Mm.
So it's like, actually, I've got them here. Give me one moment.
Yeah, sure, go. I'll grab them.
These are my monitors. So these are just the buds. I haven't got the monitor with me, but like
Yeah.
it's like that. So it sits in
Okay.
my,
It's
I
like a
don't even
proper
know which.
there's one of those earphones that go right in. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would go in, I think this is the wrong year. It says on there somewhere, but it always takes me that's the right year.
Mm.
So, oh God, there you go.
There you
It's
go.
still like,
Yeah, nice.
and I can hear like this is blocked now, but I can hear if there was something plugged in to the end, it I can hear it clearly.
Okay.
And it's my own sound system in my ear, so I can play in real time.
Yeah, so you can hear like because I know for some things you have backing tracks. Obviously, because I remember with the Melbourne gig, you had Freed from Desire, like like
The backing track,
the backing
yeah.
track in the background. Then you played the vocals actually on your violin, and so you can
Yeah.
hear yourself do that. And
So if I didn't have the in-ears
mm,
and I was just listening to the track in the stadium, it would be very delayed. Like the song would be going and then the violin would be very delayed with it. So that's why we have in-ears so that I can keep in time.
yeah, I tell for like these gigs, like the 950 gigs or something, you should maybe get a little sign saying, "If I'm wearing earpieces, I can't hear you," or something.
I learned to lip read. I can like figure out what people are saying some of the time, but
Mm.
sometimes I just smile and nod and I'm like,
Like, "Ah,
bye.
very interesting. Nice to see you."
I just keep like I mean if they're trying to talk to me while I'm performing, even if I didn't have in-ears in, I can't really retain what they're trying to say to me because I'm focusing on something else.
Yeah.
But
It's like
but
they
yeah,
can't. It's like they come up to you and all you hear is just
yeah.
what?
Exactly.
Yeah. Uh, You go, thank you, and just move on, and just be
Yeah.
like, enough of that now. But it's interesting because one thing I've sort of heard in interviews from people is that people who do these massive gigs, like like the big bands or something like the One Directions, the Take That, I don't know what, Taylor Swift, they do these huge venues, they do stadiums, they do more than, like thousands and thousands of people. And yet for some reason they get, well, this is what I've heard anyway, some people get really, really nervous when they just perform to like a room of maybe 500 people or 100 people, 50 people. And yet that huge grandeur of like that stadium, 25,000 people, compared to like some probably intimate gigs you've done in the past as well, is there a different, are you more nervous for smaller gigs or the bigger gigs? Which one is it? Or do you not get nervous anymore?
I do get nervous sometimes. Weddings I don't get nervous for anymore because it feels like
Mm.
I'm just very used to it. Um, but like if there's any sort of new stimulus, I do get nervous. So like if it's a new song that I'm playing, or if it's like the victory games, I got nervous because I'm like, I wasn't nervous about the performance. I was nervous about tripping and falling on my face on the muddy field in my heels. Like things like that. I'm like, when I start imagining irrational things, that's not going to happen, but I'm scared. I get scared of them.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know, it's sort of hard to explain, like, because once the violin's on my shoulder, I'm chill. I'm like, okay, this is my comfort zone. But I can't personally explain why I get nervous. Like I don't know why. I don't know if it's like honestly, the performances I get most nervous for are proposals. When I'm performing at someone's proposal, I get so
Whoa.
freaking nervous because I'm so excited. It's the anticipation and it's excitement. But like 25,000 people in a stadium, I'm like, yeah, I'm nervous walking out there, but as soon as I'm performing, I'm fine. So I don't know what it is. Like I don't know what causes my nerves so much. I just think it's like a case by case thing.
Mm.
Nothing consistent. It's just like the excitement more than anything.
Yeah. I suppose proposals must be a bit of a nerve-wracking thing to perform at because if they say yes, it's the best night ever.
Well, I haven't received a no yet. You
Yeah.
hope that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not wishing that on any couple. It's just
No.
don't get me wrong, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
proposals must be like, yeah, because like you got like you talked earlier about being the surprise at someone's wedding, but then that's like the biggest surprise I think for anyone. Like you're in a restaurant and then suddenly this thing comes out, and then yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Proposal's always special. I played for my best friend's proposal in June last year, and that was so special because Andy, the groom, he had booked me to play violin and then one of their other mates to video. So all four of us in a room were bawling our eyes out because we're all like, "Oh my God, this is so special." It was very funny. Um, but yeah, no, I love proposals. I do. They're very like such variety as well. They're never like quite the same. Everyone proposes very differently.
Yeah, yeah. And so I just want to ask one more thing about the tours, actually. One thing, just going back, just out for one moment, because like we're in two different time zones right now as we speak. It's late in the night for you now. It's early morning for me over here. But when you sort of transport yourself over to Europe like this year, like getting used to the time zone, I think was London your first stop? Am I right thinking?
Paris was Paris, and then I took the train to London.
Okay, Paris first. But how do you sort of like look up as a performer? Like, as we said earlier, you're a human being, you're not a robot. But how do you sort of look after yourself, like during a tour, like getting used to the time zone, making sure you're got enough energy to perform and stuff? What's it like to actually maintain that in a completely different part of the world?
I think flying west is always a lot easier with jet lag. So coming to Europe is a lot easier.
Mm,
Um, but I honestly, the first 3 days I struggled a little bit, like with getting routine, but I was also in Paris and like I was in Paris for 2 nights and I missed the sparkling because I fell asleep and I'm so heartbroken about it. But um, yeah, it's sort of just like jet lag is a challenge. It's always a challenge. But I always just make like the whole trip was also very relaxing. Like when I wasn't on the days I wasn't performing, I was most definitely in the sun somewhere sleeping by a beach or with a
yeah.
cocktail and like I made sure to really rest as much as I could as well.
Okay.
Um, but like I'm very organized with my time and I really make the most of the time that I have so that I can rest and recover as well. Like I'm a big believer in R&R and rest and recovery.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I guess like um managing my time throughout the trip was really important. But I also wasn't as busy. Like I was busy traveling, but I wasn't as busy working as I am in Australia. So, I'm still a step like I went to 23 cities in 2 months. So it
Mm,
was like, constantly trying to you know, find routine in new places, but eventually got there. Like yeah, it was challenging for the first week, but we eventually got there.
mm. Yeah, it's just about learning to just readjust yourself and just know that, make sure like you've got enough energy to do it. You're not performing on fumes or anything. You're actually, you've got enough energy to do it, and obviously put yourself first more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I was like, I made sure I was in Europe for at least a week before I had my first performance. I was fine
Yeah.
by then. Um, I didn't do the same thing for myself when I got back. I was back for all of 2 days before I went to my first performance, and jet lag flying east is brutal. So it took me a
It's
few
tough.
days, but
Yeah,
yeah.
you're trying to sleep and your body's going, no, we're supposed to be awake now. It's like, no, we've got to go to
Yeah.
sleep.
Good thing is like my job is very high adrenaline. So like even if I'm running on 2 hours sleep, I can get through the performance
Sure.
through the adrenaline and then I'm just exhausted afterwards. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's dependent on like talking about sleep is making me yawn. But yeah, it's like yeah. I don't know, jet lag's just something that like you can try your hardest to prepare for, but at the end of the day, it's like different every time.
Yeah, yeah. It's just about like putting yourself first and making sure you're okay. Eva, just got a few more questions left for you, and then I'll let you get off to sleep. So I won't keep you for too much longer.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. No, it's all good. I know it's late in the night there for you now, so I won't keep you for too much longer. Um, so we've mentioned earlier about all these pop songs and everything, and I mentioned in the intro you've also done some work with classical music as well. Have you thought about being the lead violinist for a Mozart piece, a Bach piece, Vivaldi? Have you thought about branching out to the classics?
I studied classical like for most of my life.
Yeah.
Um, it's something that you're like very much pushed into when you first start learning the instrument because it
Hmm.
is a classical instrument. I love playing classical, I do, but for what I do for my work, it's not it doesn't call for a lot of classical. And in fact, if I have a client that inquires with me to play solely classical music, I will acknowledge that I might not be the right violinist for them because
Okay.
it's just not something that like I know there's other violinists out there that are solely classical violinists that will be able to really do it justice. I love playing classical music, I do, but like, well, the type of medium in which I perform, it doesn't really call for it very often. I
Mm,
prefer playing classical music in an ensemble setting, though, in an orchestral setting. That's where I find that it's like most like enriching, I
mm.
think.
Yeah, would you do like duets? Because I know Ishtar Perlman did a very famous duet with I can't remember his name, but anyway, he did a really really famous one in the 70s, I think, or 80s, maybe one of the two. But would that be something you'd be open to doing like a classical duet with another
Yeah.
violinist? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, that's what I did with my good friend Anna, who's actually my European twin. So
Ah,
she lives in Greece, and we both play vi we look the same, we play the same. We are very much twins, just with different parents. But we did a wedding in Folegandros, which is one of the Greek islands, and we played like a lot of Vivaldi and what else do we play? They requested a fair bit of Vivaldi. We played a few other classical songs and even went into some film scores as well. Like, oh, we did a bit of Ludovic Einaudi and um, John Williams, and yeah, we just it was a very different like style performance to what we were used to, but it was really fun, really, really fun.
yeah. I think if I was there, I would not recommend, I would request. I'm going to mention something that was made in your neighbor's house, Lord of the Rings. So I absolutely love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and I love that score so much. And not the whole thing, of course, but like like the Shire theme. I'm not sure if you've ever played that, or you've probably sure you've heard it, but yeah,
I played the Hobbit's theme at
yeah,
wedding.
yeah, yeah.
I played that a lot. People
Mm.
request that for weddings.
Oh, do they? Oh, they've got excellent taste. I'll tell you that. But yeah, honestly, that's brilliant. Eve, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so, so much. I mean, I've just got two more questions left for you, and then I'll let you go and get some sleep. But so the first one really is, what would you say was a bit of advice you wish you heard right at the beginning of your career?
Um, I think like, gosh, I don't know. Um, I think just like having the confidence to do things differently, um, and not try and be like others. Like it took me a while to figure out my own style and figure out how to be unique and like confident in that. Um, but then again, like from a young age, we're sort of taught to like fit in an ensemble and like, I was taught how to be like an ensemble member and work in an orchestra. I wasn't really, well, I was at some point, but like I was brought up believing that I probably wouldn't be a soloist. And then here I am.
Mm,
I think just having that confidence given to me, not given to me, but like someone to encourage me at the start to be like, hey, yeah, you can do that.
yeah.
Um, and learning how to network as well and get out of my comfort zone too. I think that's something that it's taken me a while to learn that myself. But I think if I'd learned that earlier, who knows where I would be.
Mm, yeah, exactly. I've literally just thought of another one, just very, very quickly. I'll throw it in there. I asked you earlier about, you wait, Elisa, what song do you absolutely love to play? What song do you always look forward to?
Um, there's so many. There's really so many, and it depends on the day. I love playing cultural music, because it's just so much fun. I love playing immersive music,
Yeah.
like love songs. Honestly, any song that just touches people, I love it. But like I don't know, like I love playing Bella Ciao because everyone seems to love that song. Um, Feeling Good by Michael Bublé. There's so much in that
Oh,
song. There's
classic.
so much substance in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any music that has like substance to it, I love it. Like something that's powerful and like impactful.
Yeah. The Australian
Yeah.
national anthem as well?
Mm.
No.
mean, I'd play it if I have to, but there's not many opportunities that call for it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, just think Rugby World Cup final, like Sydney, they might call on you to play alongside the singer. Would you say no?
No, I'd say yeah. Yes. It'd make more sense if it was a football game or a soccer game.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Well, it could be a World Cup in Australia in the next few years. Who knows? Sorry, I've literally just thought of another one. Literally just two more, Evie, and then we'll finish there. What advice would you give to someone who, I mean, again, going back to that story earlier, you were 15 years old, you had your bow in your hand, you're just like, I've had enough, and you snapped it in half. If there's anyone out there who is learning the violin now, is probably at school, probably thinks, oh, like other kids are picking on them or thinking it's not very cool or they're not getting anywhere with it, what would you say to those people to not have the yeah? But what would you say to those people who are struggling learning their instrument and thinking like it's not cool enough?
I think I I would sort of try to help them see that it's a phase that they're feeling and that they're not going to feel like that forever.
Yeah,
But also encouraging them to um look further into why like what they love as well. Um I think the reason why I struggled with it through my teenage years is because I felt like I had to learn these particular songs for my exam and I didn't really enjoy them as much. I wasn't like I was encouraged to learn music that I loved, but like within that classical realm. Whereas if I had the opportunity to really try learning like klezmer, which I love playing, like circus music, or the contemporary sort of modern music and trying new things there, I think I would have um, maybe moved past that awkward phase a little bit more. But
yeah,
I think just encouraging young students to find things outside of just classical music, because classical training and skill and like learning the craft is very much like that's where the technical side of things comes from the classical music world. But it's very easy to fall into the trap of like having to feel like you have to stay there, but there's a lot of translatable skill that you can move into different genres from the classical music, or from classical training. So, I think just encouraging that sort of thought process with young
yeah,
minds.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
trying
keep
new.
keep going and just don't give a fuck about what other people think. If it makes you happy, then just do it. You know.
That's it. That's it. Like at the end of the day, they're not going to matter. And it's really quite funny how like the people that used to tease me for it or people that used to give me a hard time or like call me weird,
Yeah.
those people I like don't think about anymore. I couldn't even remember who they were. Um, like, and I look back and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing, but I know that I'm doing something I really love, and I
Exactly.
stuck with that, and I'm grateful for that. And like, if I had fallen for their crap at the time, I would never be here right now. I'd never be experiencing the life that I get to live. So I'm grateful that I was able to move past that. But
Great.
yeah, like stop caring so much about what other people think. At the end of the day, like everyone's entitled to an opinion, but like what they say and what they think is a reflection of them, not on you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple as just follow your heart, guys. Keep going. Keep doing what you love doing. Simple as. And finally today, closing question for every guest, which is, what would you say was an experience or experiences you've had in your career up to now that you'll never ever forget?
Melbourne Victory, for
Yeah,
sure.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. That was a life changer. That was a life changer. For sure. In
Yeah,
so many ways.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
here's to more performances in that environment. You should come to Wembley one day. You should do a I don't know, do Free From Desire at Wembley or something during a FA Cup
Yeah.
final or
It's
something.
so crazy how many soccer and like I have to say football. I can't say soccer. I'm too scared of soccer. I'm too scared of football fans and them yelling at me for calling it soccer. But I have so many football clubs that have reached out to me in the last like 6 months since the victory gigs about
Mm,
um working with them, and like unfortunately we weren't able to make it work during my tour this year, so maybe
yeah,
next year.
yeah. If you get a call from the Emirates Stadium, you say yes.
Oh
Does
my
that?
God, everyone's talking about the Emirates Stadium.
Yeah,
Everyone. The
yeah.
Emirates Stadium and the something about Athens, the Athens one as well.
Athens one.
There's something, it's a Greek AEK.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's probably that might be that'll be a Greek team. I can't think of any Greek teams now. Yeah. Anyway, they'll probably be like in the Greek champions or something, the Greek capital or something, one of the two. But anyway,
Yeah.
you come to the Emirates because that's where Arsenal are, and that's the team you support, okay? And that's the team you
Okay.
cheer for.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll cheer for Melbourne Victory, and and you cheer for Arsenal. Then we got a deal. But yeah, hope to see you there and performing everything. And yeah, honestly, Evie, thank you so much for your time. This has been absolutely great. I'd love to have you back because I've got so many more questions for you. But we'll continue this conversation in the future, and I look forward to it. If you just hang on, I'll finish the recording. We'll have a little debrief afterwards, and I'll let you go. But yeah, wow, fantastic. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast, and I'll be back very, very soon. And yeah, Evie, thank you so, so much.
Thanks for having me.